YouTube. I am April from April, May, June Stitching, and this is my Flosstube number 24, I think. It's been about 2.5 months since I filmed my last video, and the reason for that is because I didn't really do a lot of stitching in January, and there wasn't really much point me making a Flosstube at the end of January, so I thought I would wait so I had enough to show, you know, enough things that I've worked on. So anyway, I think I've sorted these out into the order that I worked on them, because I use Instagram as I'll go back to what the last thing was that I showed you. But anyway, this is Jenny Bean's not Halloween sampler, Christmas sampler by Shakespeare's Peddler, and I have stitched mine on 40 count vintage navy bean by Lakeside Linens, which is the Call fabric. I only made a small start. I did this on Christmas Day. That's where I am. I did go wrong, quite wrong on the house with the window size. As you can see, the top row are smaller than the top row, and I think I even went wrong on this side of the house as well, but I didn't want to rip it out, so I'm just going with it. So yeah, I bought the PDF of this one, which was really easy to do, from Kitten Stitcher's website. I think some of us in the UK do appreciate a PDF, because shipping is quite expensive, and if you didn't want to buy lots of different things, I know I appreciate it anyway. I'm going to put things away as I go. Ooh. Already off to a flying start. So I started Anne Grimshaw on New Year's Day by the Scarlet Letter, and this one, I've had this one for quite a while, and look through the chart, and it's a booklet style chart, and what they've done is it's been sort of cut up and mushed together to show where the stitch, where the gap would be, not the gap, like the overlap for the next page, but all it says is overlap, but you can't really see where it is. So what I do is generally stick a chart together. So I started in the top left hand, and I managed to get so far, and then things went awry on the chart sort of in the middle, and it didn't quite match up, and it took me hours to do all of this and figure out what was wrong. So I've decided to make a start. This is quite a long story for the pathetic little start that I have done. I decided to start in the middle and stitch where the error was, so I could just get that done. And I did start it, and I'm stitching this on 40 count mystery fabric, but I know it's by R&R, but I couldn't tell you what the colour is. I've had a new phone, so I'm hoping that this is showing well. But anyway, and that's quite a true reflection of the colour of the fabric. Anyway, so that was all I did, and I think this is what actually did me in, to be honest, and I lost my stitchy bug in January. I did do a few things, but I felt like I didn't stitch for weeks, and I've not picked this up again. I'm wondering if anyone else is ever deterred by that when it, anyway. But I'm stitching this. I've mentioned that the fabric was 40 count, but I'm stitching this with some thread that I over dyed myself, and this is what it is. And there's like quite a mix of colours, but it originally started off like this, various colours like this, and these are Jodery design threads. When I may have told this story before, I can't really remember, but when I first returned to stitching, things had changed so much, and there was all these things like bright, shiny, new things that I hadn't seen before, and hand-dyed thread was definitely not something I knew anything about. And I just saw, and I was buying loads of different things, and then when I joined the thread club, and when they came, I was like, oh, aren't they pretty? But what am I realistically going to stitch with them for the sort of things that I eventually found out was my style? What am I going to stitch with these threads? And I think I've only ever used one once. So I just decided, rather than them sitting there in my basket of threads that I've got, I just thought I would over dye them. And I used a black Dylon dye, and I left them in there for quite some time, but rather than it send it black, it almost sent it this grey blue, which I love. I love the way these threads look, and I have got quite a lot of them, but I use them in other designs, you know, here and there. But it's better that I use them like this than not use them like this. So yeah, so that's, and you can see, I'm hoping that you can see the variegation in the thread as it's stitching. It is quite blue grey rather than any sort of black. So I'm not going to get back to that at any time soon, I don't think, or if I do, it'll be on when I just fancy, and that's generally how I stitch anyway. I work on whatever I fancy working on at the time. Then I had another new start, thinking the drawn thread, which is one of my very much happy places. I started to carter number 2. I bought this in December, I think, when we were allowed to go, before we went into lockdown 2.0. So I made a start on this, and I bought the kit from Chris at the Nimble Thimble, and oh, that's, sorry, you can really see, that's not going to be any better, is it? You can really see through the fabric. So, and I'm stitching this on 32 count, I think, just white linen. I was going to change the linen, but everything else that I put next to it I didn't think really worked, so I just thought I'll stick with what came in the kit. And hopefully you can see, you can see how out of practice I am. I'm hoping you can see the detail, but the drawn thread use a lot of speciality stitches, and these have got some beads on. This is just page 1, and I absolutely love this. And the way I usually stitch in hand, but because the drawn thread is a lot of speciality stitches, especially on their other designs, I usually do the cross stitching, then I'll put the design in a Q-snap or a hoop, and then do the speciality stitches and then move on. But because this is more motif based, and there's not much cross stitching in this, I just sort of did a mix of, I'll do the speciality stitches first. So here on this, what would be almost like a tree, I'm so out of practice, I'm sorry. So that motif is here. So what I've done here is just do the speciality stitches first, and then when I've done as much as I want to do with that, because I think I'm going to do a page at a time for this one, I'll then take it out the Q-snap and then just go and do the cross stitching. It's just a different a different way of attacking it each time, I think. But yeah, I love the peacock, and I'm hoping that you can see the beads on that. And I just think the drawn thread, I mean, this is quite an old design. Does it say what year? 2004. And I don't know if that's a reprint or not, but it's just, they're so beautiful when you see them stitched up. And I would recommend anyone to buy them because they do lovely instructions. It's all there, really clear diagrams, and you shouldn't be scared of doing speciality stitches. And I find them quite fun to do. I'm going to put everything away as I go along, so I apologise for that, and I apologise if I've already said that. But anyway, there we go. Then I had another new start, and this is Beneath the Sunlit Sky by Blackbird Designs, and I love this little sweet design. And I think the fabric for this is Sea Fog by R&R, and either I couldn't get it or you couldn't get the fabric anymore. I couldn't really remember, but I opted to go for an unconventional one, I think, from others that have done this, and this is Morris Blue by Weeks Dye Works, and this is a 30 count, and that's what I managed to get done. Just a sweet little start. I really love this design, and I will hopefully, I'd like to pick this up more when we turn into spring and summer. I feel like I'm still stuck in Christmas stitching mode, especially with some of my purchases. Anyway, this is Christmas Thought Sampler by The Drawn Thread again. I did show this on my last Flosstube, and I can't remember where. Maybe I'd come down to here, I can't really remember, but I've done the bottom part. I really am all over the place. I'm sorry. Done the bottom part, but that's it all together, and I love this design. It's so pretty. It goes really quickly when you're stitching on it. Watch if I can come closer and do a scroll up for you while seeing what I'm doing. Oh look, the little charm. See, the little mittens. I just love the little tiny details. That charm's still not sitting right. And I'm doing this on some 32 count natural Zweigart fabric with the gold fleck in it. I'm not sure if that's picking up on the camera. I think the call for fabric is Summer Khaki by Zweigart. I bought this kit from Chris at the Nimble Thimble. I'm not sure if it had the fabric, I can't remember. I think it did, but I just wanted to almost use up that fabric, and I think it's a perfect design to use a sparkly fabric. Now, another new start that I had was from Whilst Iris Snaps Designs, Christina, my Stitchy BFF, and this is Amelia Ellis, 1887. I only made a small start on this one, like probably all my new starts, but this is where I am, and I'm stitching this on some 36 count Mellow by Picture This Plus, and I am not using the called for threads. I am using leftover silk that I've got and just matching up the colour from the picture. So yeah, it's a really sweet little design, and I'm so glad that her Instagram and her Flosstube have gone off with a storming start, and people have been buying her charts and really enjoying her designs. It makes me feel very proud. Then I've got, I've got a start and a finish on 2 blocks from Anniversaries of the Heart by Blackbird Designs. I'm working on this one at the moment, which is the bonus block from Swan Lake, the Swan Lake chart, which this is my next block to do after this one, because I'm stitching this in a different order to what is set out. So this is the block that I've finished, and this was my mum's block. So I included her, well, my nan and granddad's initials either side, what me and my brother would, whenever we were talking about my mum, we'd just say our mum, our dad, and I'd say our brother if I'm ever talking about them. I think it's quite a local thing. I'm not sure. I know Christina says our mum as well. So yeah, and then I included her birth year and her birth date on there. So, and then I started the bonus block, which is just there. So I'd like to get that finished this month and then start on the Swan Lake here. So I'll just hold it up to show you. That's where I am all together. So I'm choosing to do mine lengthways rather than widthways. So yeah, that's, and once I've finished that, once I finish the middle block, I am halfway, I think. So yeah, I'm not going to say anything because, you know, I've said it 3 years running now. So we'll move on. So I still didn't really find anything to work on. It's been more towards the end of February that I've sort of stuck to one thing and worked on it for a while. I picked up Faith, Hope, Peace, Love by Theresa Kogut. I love this sampler. It came out last year at market and I made a start on it pretty much straight away. I'm doing this on another piece of mystery. No, it's not mystery actually. This is 40 count R&R sheep straw, and I am using the called for threads, other than I made a change and I think it's this thread, because it just, the called for thread is practically the same colour as the fabric that I've chosen. So I just did some of the alphabet here and made a start on the skirt. So that's where I would like to stitch the little couple here. I made a start on her skirt. But anyway, I love this, and I love the colours that's used in it. But again, I didn't really stick with it. Then I worked one day, I think, or maybe two, on Angel Song by Shepherd's Bush. And this is where I am now. And I worked on, I did from here down, and it doesn't look like a lot of work, but it was a little bit fiddly. But yeah, I'd like this. And I did some of the over one here for the words. So yeah, this is one where I will do the cross stitch. I'll do the cross stitch in hand there. And then I'll do the speciality stitches. Some speciality stitches I can do in hand, but others I usually use where you can see a hoop mark on that one. And so I then go back and do the speciality stitches and the back stitch and sew on the buttons. But yeah, this one is really a sweet one, I think. And then last width that I've got is Spring Snow by Ink Circles. I started this last year and it was my first, what I called on my Instagram, social distance stitching start -- 1, because I just went crazy with little starts last year. But yeah, so I started this, I think it was March last year. So anyway, and this is what I've managed to get done. So I'd practically got all of this side stitched except the white and this part here. So I went back and finished practically that side except for one motif I've got to do, which is just by the deer's mouth, and then I'm over this side. And again, I would like to get this finished this year as well. And this is on the Call For fabric, Dove. I think it's Dove by Weeks Dye Works. I love the old style Weeks fabric, and I know a lot of people aren't a fan of that, but I absolutely love it. Yeah, 30 count Dove is the Call For, and it's a lovely colour. That's a nice easy stitch. It doesn't require, I think it's 5 or 6 colours on that one. So then I've got some FFOs. My first FFO is Spring Harvest by Grimshaw. And so I finished stitching this in January or February. I think it was February, I can't remember. And it's got all the beads on it. It's really heavily beaded actually, and loads in the pumpkin. And then I bought these Permin, I think they're the called for ones actually, Permin thread traps I was going to call them, bell pulls, the bell pull hardware from, I think I got them from Arts and Designs in the UK. And that's my back. And I followed Vonna, the Twisted Stitchers, written tutorial on her blog, and it was really good. This fabric, I'm not sure, can you see, it's got a fault in it, so it shouldn't, I wasn't originally going to have it so it was so movable on the thing, but my fabric, it was really hard for me to try and get it straight, and it's ever so slightly wonky at the bottom. Well, I can notice it, but anyway, and it's got this fault, and I thought it was just a fold line and I'd be able to get it out when I ironed it, but it is actually a fault. But I think it looks worse on the camera than it does in real life. And then there's this, I don't know what that is, but anyway, I love it. And this was again another really enjoyable stitch. So there's that one. Then I have got Busy Bee Stitching Tray by Shepherd's Bush, and this was a kit I bought from the Nimble Thimble, and I bought the tray as well. I'm trying to get this so you can see it without the shadow, and I love this the little thing, and I pad it quite heavily so it gives quite a domed effect when I put it in the tray. And I've got the Halloween one, and I've already done the Christmas one. I showed that in my last video. I finished that the year before, So yeah, I've got that. So I really love doing this. I didn't put the border at the bottom because I didn't do that on my Christmas one. Not that they'll ever be out together, but I ran out of silk with that one, so I couldn't have put the border in anyway, and I just did the same for this one. Yeah, and I love how that has turned out, and that's the tray, the little bee motif. Lovely, and these are really lovely quality. They're made by well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but that's who it's made by, and it's lovely quality. How would you say that? Cabran Marie Woods, Wisconsin, USA. It's just beautiful. So that was another FFO. Then oh no, I'll share this one before, I think, no, not before anything. This is what is this called? Let me have a look. Sorry. Sure you're all very impressed with my Flosstube skills today. Oh dear. What is this? Be Happy by Homespun Elegance. And I think this is just really sweet. And I stitched this on 28 count. I know it's one of the called for on the pattern. They've got 2 Twilight Blue, I think. Let's have a check. I've got all my, yeah, Twilight Blue or Smoky Pearl, and I've done it on Smoky Pearl. That's it. I had it in my stash, so I didn't use any of the called for colours. I used some Victorian Motto. I love the grass colour. I think it's Colonial Fields, something Colonial Fields by Victorian Motto. The little charm came in the pattern. So I finished it. I would like to finish it in the heart, because that's how they finish it off. Sorry about the glare. And I thought I'll have a go at doing the heart shape, and it's not too bad. And then I use some Motherload chenille by Dinky Dies by Lady Dot, and I use some little daffodil fabric on the back, and then I stuck on a little bee charm when I made the hanger, and I love that looks. I've got a load of these bee charms, and I'm trying to use them up wherever I can, really. Then I had another finish. This is Great and Small. This is in the Sampler, can't say that, Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly magazine. And this, I didn't use any of the call for threads, and I just used Victorian Motto again. And I'm hoping you can see that the beehive is made of lots of speciality stitches. And then these should actually be beads, but I did colonial knots for mine. So yeah, I love, they've got beads, charms on theirs, but they're much smaller than these. And I think, and there's some words over this side, some over one words, but I didn't choose to do those, and I just stuck the beads that I had on, and I quite like the way it looks. And this is a charity shop frame that I painted black. It wasn't a charity shop frame, it was an antique shop, which was like a jumble sale, really. That's what they yeah, that's what the shop was, really. But yeah, it was a bargain. So I quite like to buy just wooden frames and save them for whatever I can fit in them, really. And then this is a new start, almost an FFO with some bits. So this is Christmas Box by Jeanette Douglas, and I bought this kit from Chris at the Nimble Thimble. and it came with the tray. It's called for on Oaken Fabric by Pitch This Plus, but Chris actually supplied the opalescent Zweigart fabric, and it works so well for this design, so that's what I used. So my kit comprised of the chart, the silk pack, the wool pack, and it even came with all the little bits for the ribbon, because you make up almost like a little sewing accessories. Came with the ribbon, the wool backing, the charms, and the pins as well. So this is what I've managed to get. Oh, perfect. This is what I've managed to get done so far. I'll take these out one at a time. So this isn't really a sewing accessory. It's what they call the sampler in the kit, and it's got some cross stitch and then speciality designs, and I love this. And it's a lot more, well, is it a lot more vibrant in real life? I think so. And then it's backed with some Weeks Dye Works wool, and I think it's done. I couldn't really, I'm more of a visual person, and the finish instructions were a bit, I didn't really, not that I didn't understand them, I just couldn't visualise. So I just did blanket stitch. I don't know whether that was right. I did blanket stitch around mine to get the wool to the back. And I love this. I love the colours, everything about it. Then there is this one, and this is a little needle book. And then they look like little gifts. And then the ribbon so you can pull it out. And I'm not, oh, honestly, sorry. It's like it's my first Flosstube. I'm hoping you can see that, and it's really sweet. And then this one as well, it's like a little scissor keep, the little charm, and then that's the back, and that was the ribbon and fabric that came in the finishing pack. So you slip your little scissors there, and then they all fit lovely in this little tray and drop out. So yeah, and I just need to finish the pin cushion at the bottom, but I did this in quite a short period of time, and I went on to I did spring snow. I just fancied just doing some cross stitch, albeit that pin pillow is just cross stitching. But yeah, that's the wool backing for the pin pillow, and those are the little pins that came in the kit as well. Really sweet, and I can't wait to put those in. I am looking forward to finishing that. But that's everything I think I have worked on cross stitching wise. But I did do over Christmas is I bought these charts, and I think I showed these in my last Flosstube. I bought some wool applique charts because I saw that hedgerow stitcher Rebecca bought these charts, so I went and had a look, and I basically bought the same charts that she had and then a few others, and I just really loved him. And I've not had to go at wool applique before, other than doing blanket stitch around a pillow that I've finished, and that's the only time I've ever had anything to do with wool or any sort of stitching like that. So anyway, this is where I got to, and I don't know if other people feel this way, but it's quite hard to get hold of wool. It's not hard to get hold of wool felt in the UK, but it's hard to get hold of like the wool fabric. There isn't like a plethora of places, so I got a mix of fabric from different places, and I even bought quite a big bundle of things from a woman who basically went round charity shops buying wool clothes and cutting them up and selling them for whatever, and that worked out. There was some great fabric in there. So yeah, so that's what I did just over Christmas, and I would like to get back to this because I really enjoyed it. And something that I had done before my last Flosstube, but I didn't show it. I bought the pattern yonks ago, craft fair, and it's basically called Winter Playground by Lynette Anderson, and I did show it, and I bought the charts as a subscription, so they came monthly, and I had them for a while, but I thought I would like to have a go at doing this. And her technique that she uses is I think it's called turned applique, so they're folded under ever so slightly. But I quite like, and I'm lazy, I quite like the blanket stitch. So I cut out the shapes and then stuck them on, and I used the wrong type. Let me have a look what it's called. I used Ultra Heat and Bond to get these on, rather than, I think one's red and one's purple, and I used, because I did have it and I thought, oh, that's what they use, but it's almost, I think, it's too much. Not that I have tried to applique around it, because I think I was just a little bit put off knowing I'd used the wrong one, but I have now bought the right one. So yeah, I didn't really, I just sort of winged it. I did, yeah, anyway, but I'm not sure if to do this again. I could have a go. I mean, it's all right here, it's quite flexible here, but then when I've got two bits of fabric over the top of each other, it's quite stiff, and I'm not sure if I'll get the needle through. I'm not sure what to do, but yeah, I'm just going to do little tiny blanket stitch around mine rather than the turned applique, because I'm lazy. But yeah, then, and I've got all the fabric for that as well. I bought it's one of those ones where there is a line called Winter Playground, I think, of her fabric, but then it's almost like one of those quilts where you get to use up all of your little bits of scrap of her, not that you don't have to, but her range of fabric. But I bought a bundle of different fabric from the place that I bought the kits from, because I didn't want to buy loads of fabric. So now I think that's everything I've worked on. So I'll show you my purchases first. Cross stitch purchases that I've got first. Now, I bought these two charts from the Stash and Load UK group. I've wanted jingles, Lisa Kate jingles, for quite a while, so I bought these two, and then I ended up ordering all of the others from 123 Stitch. They haven't come yet, they're still out there in the world somewhere being delivered. But yeah, I would like to do the whole lot all together. But yeah, I need to get some buttons for these two because they've been used. I think it's only on one, but I just need to get a little button for the house. So that's that. Then I bought Rose Air Blooming by Summer House Stitchworks. I fell in love with this design as soon as I saw it. And this Rose Air Blooming is a German Christmas hymn or carol, and it always reminds me of Michelle, the Striped Rose, because she did the Rose Air Blooming design by Bright Needle with the hymn as well. So it always makes me think of Michelle. So yeah, I'd like to start that one. I think it's really beautiful, and I know Alba Stitcher is working on this one at the moment. Then I've bought Springtime Messenger by Brenda Gervais. I'm sorry about the glare. I haven't really got a lot in the way of purchases. And then I've got Quaker Sewing Tray, which I love this design. And I think, was it Pretty Southern that I'd done this, and the colours are gorgeous. But I'm sure you've heard that Brenda Gervais has decided not to sell internationally anymore. So I don't think it'll be a problem because she sells through Hoffman for her newer charts, but it's getting her older charts that will be more of a problem for us, I think. But anyway, but yeah, that's a lovely one by Brenda Gervais. Then this is where I've sort of stuck in Christmas mode. This is by Artful Offerings, and it's Rocking Horse Holiday. And I love this. I love Artful Offerings since the Horse Country Holiday that I stitched, and then I bought another one, Cranberry Christmas. Love that as well. Love the little Christmas wreaths at the top. Then I've got one last Christmas one, and this is Best Time of the Year. Love this. By Brenda Gervais again. That one. And then one more by Brenda Gervais. And this one sort of passed me by, but I love the cat wearing the witch's hat. And this is Gardner Goodwitch. Yeah, and that's almost the same as the one that I did at Christmas, that Winterberry Cabin, Christmas at Winterberry Cabin, that I did on massive count. So I might do the same again because I loved how that one turned out. And then I managed to get hold of Souvenirs of the Summer by Blackbird Designs, and I know this is an out of print book, and I love all the designs in here, but I especially love the front cover, the bird and the stars and the flag. But then I think my favourite is this one, which is Summer Jubilee, and I know this is in an issue of just cross stitch, but the opportunity for me to buy this book was there, so I just took it, and I think I paid retail price for it. So yeah, I've got all the fabric and threads for this design. I chose to do because I think you can get the called for colour fabric, but you can't get the called for count in the colour. something like that. So I think I chose Weeks Dye Works Gunmetal, and I say I've got all the threads, so a lot of my stuff was already kitted up, but over the start of the pandemic I was just going through things and I decided to unkit a lot of things, most things. I don't know why really, I just felt like doing that, because I would always be like, I can't borrow those threads from that chart because they're for that chart, so I'd buy more threads, and I'd just go and buy threads, you know, threads to kit things up. But then and I'd put that fabric with it as well, and then I just thought, just because I've chosen that fabric doesn't mean I have to use that fabric for that project, because I might change my mind. So I just started to unkit loads of things, and I've basically unkitted everything now. I did like a second wave of it, and it took me ages to sort everything out, and I put everything into stock. I don't know why I've done that, and it's just nice now to go in there, because I love kitting things up, and it's nice to do that if I want to start something, like almost like gets me prepared to start the project. I don't know what my point is of waffling on about that story anyway, but that's what I did over whilst we were in lockdown. The only things I didn't unkit were things that were kits, like so shepherd's bush and the drawn thread, or silks that I'd bought for a particular project. So yeah, I'm pleased that I managed to get that one. And then this was some just unbelievable stitchy kindness from my friend Vicky in the States, who is crazy for quilts, crazy for cross stitch on Instagram, and she was working on Coming to America by Brenda Gervais. It's definitely been a Brenda Gervais theme in my video today. She was working on this, and we couldn't get hold of this in the UK because it was sold, it wasn't just sold as a chart, it was like a pack. Anyway, Vicky very kindly said she would send me her chart when she had finished, and she was racing to get it finished, and it was lovely. But then she messaged me to say, I've managed to find you a kit. She wouldn't let me pay for it, wouldn't let me pay for shipping or anything like that. She's just, well, she's so kind and lovely. Anyway, so she sent me the fabric, the chart, and you get a bonus chart as well, which is Harvest Blessings. I really love this one as well, and it's got some fabric to finish it with. And then she sent me the threads, and unbelievably as well, she sent me the fabric that she had originally bought to start hers on, but then she changed her mind and chose the called for, which was the Vintage Country Mocha. So she sent me her fabric, and I think this is XG Designs 36 count. So I'm going to use this, and then it came with the little needle minder as well. But I know I just love this design, and I would like to, I might do this as maybe a start on my birthday, which is next month. Yeah, maybe I'll start it then. Yeah. It came with a little sticker to put on the back when you finished it, and then also a starting corner, which I think it was just a lovely idea. So another thing that I've purchased that isn't cross stitch, but it's applique again, is a new, I think it was last year or even the year before, it was Lynette Anderson, Peace and Joy, and it makes this is only part one, but it makes a much bigger quilt like my other one, Winter Playground, but this one is fab. So I've signed up for monthly charts like this, but I did also buy an 1/8. Do they call these fat 1/8? I'm not sure. 1/8 of the, oh, sorry, I can't speak, of the entire line for that particular fabric line for that quilt. So I love all these. So I bought that because I was so successful at making the other one, but I do love these. If I see something instantly and I'm like like that, I generally buy it because I just love it. The next lot of stuff that I've got to show you is because of two particular people on Instagram and Flosstube, but I've got a bit of a backstory first. When I saw Christy from Crosshatch Quilts, it was before Christmas. On one of her videos, she'd shown one of her beautiful bags that she did using the Dear Christmas line, and there was just a piece of fabric in there that I thought would go well with my little Pineberry Lane finish, and it was this fabric here, but I don't know whether it will, but I don't think it will anyway. But I bought as much, in fact I don't think it was this one, it was from Swell Christmas, was her check, or her stripy pattern, her pattern that she used, and I couldn't get that one, or I couldn't find it, but I could find this one, so I bought this one thinking it would go, but I don't think it will. But anyway, I started to watch Crafty Cottage Stitchers, which is a mother and daughter duo in the US. They're both on Instagram as White House Stitchery for the daughter Heather, and Janet is Carly Court Cottage, that's it, sorry. And I was tagged in one of their videos because I'd been listed as a Flosstuber that they'd watched recently. So I found that, and then I found their channel through that because I got a notification. So I started to watch them, but I started to watch from the beginning, which is something I always like to do. And then they were showing all this quilting, and then they showed the Swell Christmas fabric line and the Dear Christmas fabric line that I think they'd bought as well, and I was like, I want to make a quilt with that. So I tried to buy as much of, because I think it was a few years ago the fabric came out, so I'm always late to these things, so I managed to buy what I could from each line, as much as I could, and I'd already got this one from Dear Christmas, so I then managed to buy this from, you know, over the past couple of weeks, as much as I could. I'm not sure whatever this, I think it'll be project bags, to be honest, but I don't really need any more project bags. But do I need 2 Christmas quilts? Anyway, I managed to get hold of more of Swell Christmas than I did Dear Christmas. Anyway, I got hold of a jelly roll. It was a brand new jelly roll, but I took it apart, but it has all these bits in it, so it wasn't necessarily a great idea. And then I also managed to get hold of all this fabric and also a charm pack. Is this a charm pack? I think it is. I've taken the labels off because I like to look at the fabric. And then I've managed to get the most fabric is this one, but this isn't enough because I'd like to make a big quilt, a proper size quilt for my bed, which is a double, but I'd like to make I've got these lofty expectations. I'd like to make a king size quilt to be able to, you know, anyway, whatever. So I thought, what am I going to be able to make with all these little bits of, you know, fabric? I've just bought as much as I could. Anyway, so I did a search on Google, and I searched for quilts with, and I know I can make a quilt with like a lap size quilt with a jelly roll. I've done one, I've got one, but I just want this bigger quilt. So anyway, I found on I did a search on Google. I'm sorry I'm waffling. And I saw that I think there was like a chat group for Missouri Quilt Star, and somebody pointed out, I think they call it Garden of Eden quilt by the Quilt Star, Missouri Quilt Star, and it's basically, they've made up this quilt and then added borders. They've put a charm. You can obviously tell I'm not a quilter, so I'm sorry if I'm just, you're shouting at the screen saying what the hell are you talking about. Anyway, they use a charm pack square and then put a jelly roll border around it, and then they sew it all together, and then they made it bigger by using the leftover jelly roll, sewn it in blocks, and then I'll link it. It's like a 3-minute video because she zooms through it, and I just love the way it looks. So I'm thinking I'm going to be able to have the middle of the quilt being this, made up of this with there, and I think it'll be easy for me to follow, using the charm pack and the jelly roll, and then I'll be able to bulk out the sides with borders and whatnot using my fabric. This, I would love this to be the back side of the quilt, but I'm not sure. Well, there definitely isn't enough here, but I think I can get a coordinating fabric. The who makes this fabric? Moda Basics, is it? I'm going to be able to get a red there, but I would like to use up all of the fabric that I've got. Anyway, this is all pie in the sky at the moment, but that's what I want to do. But I don't think it's necessarily completely out of my, you know, the realm of possibility for me not to be able to produce a nice size quilt using this fabric. Anyway, whilst watching them, I did originally buy, because Janet had said that it's a really easy pattern. It's like a beginner quilt pattern. So I bought the Yellow Brick Road quilt pattern, but the sizes, because I was looking at the picture thinking, yeah, that looks like the right size. But this is a fat quarter quilt, and the charm pack squares aren't the right size, and they're bigger, I think, in the pattern than what I've got. So anyway, but I'm glad I bought this pattern because I would like to make some quilts anyway, but I want big quilts. And I did a bit of research because I hear you all saying things like, I'm going to send my quilt off to be quilted, and I know Carol Silkbox Stitcher, she does it all, but it's not ever been something I've looked at here. So I did a bit of research and found quilters that do that, and I can send it off. So, and that's what I think I would like to do, rather than trying to do it myself. I'd like to do it properly, not properly, but you know, I'd like to make a big quilt, but I don't think I'd be able to get through that through my sewing machine. I was looking at Quilt As You Go, and I did buy that thinking, oh, I could do it as quilt. Anyway, that's what I've decided to do. But so that's why I've bought that. But then also Heather is a cross stitch designer, and she showed one of the charts that she was, I've printed this on sticker paper, anyway, she showed one of the charts that she was actually, she designed it already and was actually stitching it, was this one, which is 9 patch, Christmas 9 patch is it called? Holly Jolly 9 patch, sorry. So I originally bought this chart, and I was just going to do this, but then I looked later and I thought, oh no, I'd like to do it as one great big, not great big because they're only small, but one big stitch, and I just love that. So that's what I bought because of them. So thank you, ladies. It cost me a small fortune, but I'm glad I've got the Christmas fabric, because it is just, I just think it's really fun, and I love the colours together. And I think that is absolutely everything from me this time. I do this and then I remember something else after. No. Oh, what? No, I have remembered one other thing. Is I must be the last person again to the party of Laurie Holt and her Flosstube. So I was like watching her, and I nearly died when I saw her finish for When Flowers Blossom, because she'd got a frame already, and she made the chart fit the frame, so added on extra bits here, and I just loved it, absolutely loved it. So I think that's what I would like to do, and I love the colours that she used, and she did it on 28 count, I think, and I just loved I loved everything about it. So I would like to start this one as well, and I think the colours are just so cheery and bright, and that's what I think could all do with the current situation of things, you know. But hopefully we're on the rise of it, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, that's a future plan that I've got. But other than that, it's just stitch what I want when I want. But I'd like to thank everybody for sticking around, and I've had loads of new subscribers because I've been shouted out on various other Flosstubers videos, and I think namely from Pam and Steph shouting me out, but both me and Christina got mentions there, and yeah, I just thank you to everyone who was watching from the start, anyone who's new, or anyone who has joined me at some point in the last 3 years. I do really appreciate it, and I know I'm very sporadic with my videos. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say really, other than I hope everybody takes care of themselves, and is looking forward to spring, which is this month, and hopefully the weather will pick up for everybody that is suffering from really bad conditions at the moment. My heart goes out to everybody in Texas who's been affected. So yes, but everybody take care and look after yourselves, and I will see you next time.